Each one of us is a miraculous, magical being with the potential for a tremendous personality. A personality that will help us move through life joyfully and lovingly. We can be and do almost anything we wish for, but many of us are held back by an incorrect self-image. Discarding that self-image is essential to developing a magical personality.
You see, all of us have these excuses about the past, and we think that all the stuff that happened to us, that's like our bag of manure that we carry around with us. And whenever we want to feel sorry for ourselves or explain why our life isn't going the way we want to, or why we can't have the miracles and the magic that we really want for ourselves isn't manifesting in our life, we just reach in here and smear it on ourselves, you know. Say, well, I was a middle child, you know. And say, oh, you were a middle child? Oh, that's terrible, huh? Yeah, I never had an identity at all. I just never knew where I fit in. I just went up and I was down. How can you have an identity when you're right in the middle like that? And I still can't make any decisions. If people ask me if I have trouble making decisions, I say, well, yeah. Yes and no, you know. Say, well, what about you? Well, I was the oldest child. Oh, well, that's even worse. I mean, the oldest child's terrible. Then reach in. Oldest child? Oh, you never had a childhood. You were a parent when you were 3, and you were raising kids, and your mother and father were off having a wonderful time, and you were raising... I never had a childhood, and it shouldn't have been that way. If only it wouldn't have been that way. It could have been a different way. And you say, oh, yeah, it really could have if your parents wouldn't have had so many kids. I said, what about you? Oh, well, I'm the youngest child. Oh, the youngest. Oh, God. You never had a chance to make any decisions for yourself ever in your life. You always had somebody telling you what to do, and you had parents. Your parents were 3, your parents were 5, your parents were 7. Everybody was telling you what to do. How could you even be allowed to think for yourself now? It shouldn't have been that way. What about you? Well, I'm an only child. You know, my parents looked at me and said, we'll never be doing that again. You know, I got a lot of guilt that I got to deal with, and I've got, you know... You see, everybody has whatever it is, and someone else will say, well, because I lived, you know, in the ghetto, and someone will say, well, I didn't live in the ghetto. I lived in a place where I had everything, and that's why I'm unhappy. And, you know, someone else, you know, and we've all got this stuff, you know, it's this little bag, and everybody carries a bag around with them, you know. And the bag is full of shoulds and woulds and coulds and if onlys and so on, and it's all thoughts. And it's all perfect. I mean, in a universe where everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be, and where intelligence is flowing through everything and allowing you to breathe and the planets to move, and at this subatomic level, we know that there's a purpose to everything, even though we don't always understand it, because we have these beliefs that you're supposed to be born, and then you're supposed to be raised, and then you're supposed to have whatever it may be in your life, and then you're supposed to die in your sleep when you're 110. And then when somebody doesn't, and somebody has a head-on collision at 20, or a child has leukemia, or there's an accident, or someone gets sick, or whatever, we then take our thoughts and say, it shouldn't be that way. The universe is wrong. We never stop and say, it's all in divine order. And maybe death isn't at all what we have milked it to be. And maybe, just maybe, in a divinely perfect universe, the renewing is the way it is supposed to be. And that when you have fulfilled your purpose, it's time to move on. And that you can't kill this invisible part, and so it's all exquisitely perfect. And you stop telling yourself that it should be another way. So you shift around your consciousness. And you get rid of the shoulds and woulds and coulds and maybes, because you should have done it any other way. And everything that happened to you up until this moment allowed you to get here this afternoon, and me to get here, including the things that I have looked upon and would say, oh, they shouldn't have been that way. Why did I have to live in an orphanage? How come me? And then I look back on it and I say, if I hadn't been there, then I wouldn't have known how to develop self-reliance very young, and I wouldn't have known how to write what I wrote, and if I didn't go through the divorce I had to go through, and I didn't go through the struggles, and I didn't have the bankruptcies, and I didn't have that illness, and I didn't have the alcoholism, and I didn't have the drug addiction, if I didn't have all of those things, then I couldn't have got to the place where I could transcend them and get past them and teach someone else, and you begin to celebrate what comes into your life. Let's look at some of the things that you have come to believe that you can't change about yourself. Quickly. your personality. I mean, did you inherit your personality? Did it come from your family? Did it come from your culture? Your personality, I'm always shy. I've always been this kind of a person. I'm outgoing. I'm ingoing. We even have tests that assign different labels to people. You're introverted. You're extroverted. You're a mesomorph. You're a sociopath. You're all of these kinds of personality assignments that we give. And then we put these labels on people, and then we come to believe that. And I'd like to say to you that if you want to experience the real magic of changing your personality around, do some of the things that I've been talking about in this program. Go inward and become a spiritual being. Look at this mindset that you have and shift it. Get rid of the doubt that it's possible for you to visualize yourself being the kind of person and having the kind of personality that you would like, and then act as if that which you would like is already here, and lo and behold, magic. You have shifted around your personality, and it isn't in your genes, and it's not in your endorphins and in your enzymes and your peptides. It's in that invisible, divine, organizing intelligence that allows you to be anything and everything all at once. The second area of your personhood that many people believe they can't do anything about, and if they can do something about it, constitutes real magic, is their talent. How many people have told me, well, talent is something that is inherited and that's genetic, and you get it. And if you don't get it, then it's too bad. So what you want to do is begin to visualize yourself as talented as you would like to be. Now, if you're 4'6" in a female body, you probably don't want to play center for the Chicago Bulls. You're not going to visualize yourself jumping up and doing dunk shots and so on. Very unlikely that you'll be doing that. But whatever it is that is realistic in your own set of expectations of what you truly would like to be able to accomplish in the area of dancing or the area of anything that is creative, music, or in the area of mathematical computations or whatever, get to an understanding that your talent is something that you have much more control over than you might have been led to believe. The people who have great talent are very often those who have really had the vision, and then with the vision, they have manifested themselves a mind that is capable somehow of creating in it a picture of themselves performing at this level. The great talent of a Baryshnikov, the great talent of a Mozart, the great talent of a Michael Jordan. In three diverse areas, you've got people, first and foremost, who believe that they can do that, who work hard, who struggle and all of that, of course, and practice and all of those things. But by and large, they have a vision within that they can do that. Michael Jordan doesn't, as on his way up to the stratosphere to dunk a basketball, doesn't say to himself on his way up, gee, I wonder if I can do this again. I'm not sure that I can jump this high. A Baryshnikov doesn't say as he's on stage performing, gee, I wonder if this is possible for me to make this pirouette. I haven't done this in a while. A Mozart doesn't sit down to compose and say, gee, I don't know if I can do this or not do that. They have within them this knowing. And you have within them yourself also a knowing. And your intentions in your life have come from that knowing. Your intentions have flown from a knowing that I don't have the talent. Talented people's intentions have come from the knowing that I do. See, it's in that belief. All great talents have that belief. And your belief is that you don't have it. If you shift that around, and if you're doubting right now, if you're saying, yes, but I can't dunk a basketball, or I can't compose music, or I can't dance like a Baryshnikov, the doubt is exactly what you will manifest into the physical world. The molecules that will come from that thought of, he's wrong and I can't do that, will be your reality. If you want to create new molecules in the physical world, you have to change around that inner reality. One of the things that keeps us from getting to high levels of talent for ourselves and visualizing this is because we have been raised on comparison rather than on cooperation. We have this tendency to believe that we are separate from other people. And that is, of course, only in the physical world. And that inner connection of the invisible self doesn't matter. That part doesn't count, so we're not trained in that area. So what we do is, because we're separate, then we say, well, how does my separate entity compare to the other separate entity over there? And if this one can do that, then I can't do that. And all of a sudden, we've developed this entire code of what is talent and what isn't, what is ability and what isn't, based exclusively on how people size up to each other. Understand that you and that